Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, it's Friday, and you know what that means, another podcast, and this one coming all the way from across the pond over there. We've got Dave Lawler on the podcast today, and he's the guy that was on the cover of Volksworld November 2025 issue with his super dope airbagged oval window, 71 Beetle with the oval window conversion, chop top, all the tricks, hot rod interior. So pretty cool car. We get Dave Lawler on the podcast and talk about the build. And what's really cool about this particular podcast is he owned this car. It's actually his first car he owned. And there'll be a video coming out on YouTube where we actually have a video of this entire podcast that you'll see in a couple days. But what's really cool is he owned this car, bought it in the early 90s. And then in 1996, it was in Volksworld, the December edition in 96, and had the car, did a lot of custom features to it back then, worked at a VW shop, then sold it. Life goes on, things change, and 30 years later buys the car back and then rebuilds the whole thing. So it's a really great story, lots of cool detail to it. Plus we get into a little bit of tourism history there from where he lives out in the southeast of England. So definitely something cool to check out. Good podcast. I know that you guys will like it. But before we get into this podcast, don't forget to support those that support Let's Talk Dubs podcast. VW Trends Magazine, back on the scene after a long hiatus. Subscribe today at vwtrendsmagazine.com. Last month's issue had Zorba, the Gia in it. Also had Scott Hopkins split window, 56 split custom. In last month's issue, also Paul Davis's Type 3. So lots of cool cars to check out. Go subscribe today at vwtrendsmagazine.com. That's vwtrendsmagazine.com. Also, Ross Wolf, high quality aftermarket parts for your Volkswagen. How about some foam air cleaners? You don't like the big clunky air cleaners? They've got the Ross Wolf foam air cleaners that slide right over your velocity stacks. Keep dirt and dust from getting your carburetors without having those bolt-on, bolt-off air cleaners. I've got a set on my car. You should get a set on your car. And get 10% off when you use the code LTD10. So go check them out today at Ross Wolf. Pick up some cool stuff. Lots of stuff happening. They got the Viton oil seal kits, Viton push rod seals. If you're tired of your motor leaking all over your garage, Viton it up, and you can get all the Viton stuff exclusively at rosswolf.com. Icon pistons. You guys want top quality, high performance pistons. There's only one piston to go with, and that's Icon pistons. Currently, they're made in 85.5, 92s, and 94s, 3 different pin heights. Go check them out. Where are you going to buy Icon pistons at? Well, I'm going to tell you that in just a minute, but first, let me pump up the pistons a little bit. These are made from 4032 alloy, which allows you to run tighter piston-to-wall clearances, so you can get down, keep that compression, and make that motor put out maximum power. They've got 2 1.5 millimeter top rings and then a 4 millimeter bottom ring, which makes getting new rings for these things a lot easier. And also each piston gets M42 skirt coating to protect against dry startups, as well as give an extra layer of protection. The skirt profile is optimized for stability and performance in boxer engines. And how would these guys know? Because these guys make millions of pistons every year. And now the Big Boy Piston Company put out a line because there's a VW dude that snuck in through the back door and said, hey boss, let's make some Volkswagen pistons. So the highest performance pistons that you can get right now, Icon pistons. Go get them checked out today. Where can you buy these Icon pistons? Type E Motorsports, CB Performance, RevMaster, the Dub Shop, and Churco Performance. So go check it out today. You want the best pistons? Make sure you only get Icon pistons. If you guys don't have a local supplier to get you some of your impy stuff or some of the mail order products, once you guys decide to support a small business, go to ssaircooled.com. That's Steve and Tammy Weidman. They've owned that business for quite a few years, and they're hardcore VW people in the scene. Steve will be getting on the podcast here soon. But go check out their website at ssaircooled.com and pick up anything you need for your Volkswagen. They carry anything you see in your impy catalog. Most items are in stock and shipped out within a day. So go check them out today at ssaircooled.com. And stay tuned for the end of the podcast. I'll be giving some shout outs and answering a couple of questions also coming up on the podcast. Listener questions answered. So if you guys got any questions, email it to me at bill@letstalkdubs or message me through letstalkdubs.com. But you can send me a direct email at bill@letstalkdubs.com. So look forward to getting your questions, guys. Any questions and all questions. George and I'll be fielding questions from you guys, and no holds barred. So send them on through. Well, guys, it's about that time. Let's get into it. lost and found your first bug and then rebuilt it to be a showstopper second time around. 2025 top 5 Volksworld pick, Dave Lawler, 71 oval, on this week's Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.
Okay, everybody. So on today's show, we're always grabbing contemporary things from everything around the world. And on today's podcast, we've got a great story. David Lawler, if you're not familiar, he's got a car that was on the cover of Volksworld. He has the vehicle on Volksworld is it's a 71 Beetle with an oval conversion. And the interesting story about the car is this is the car that he found after he had the car originally back in the early or the mid 90s. So on today's podcast, I'd like to welcome David Lawler out of the UK. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so you got a great story about your car that you've had for quite a while. You've owned this car. Well, there's a long story about this car, and it's an interesting story. So I'd like to get into it, but the way that we always start the podcast, as you know, is what's your VW story and how did you get into Volkswagens?
Well, I got into Volkswagens back in 1988 when I was 11 years old. I've got two older brothers who were about to get cars and got into Volkswagens themselves, started buying Volksworld and the other magazines. Funny enough, neither of them ever got a Volkswagen, but I picked up the magazines and, young 11-year-old, liked the colourful cars and all the things that was being done to them. So that kind of started my passion. And then, so I started saving up paper round money and doing odd jobs and gardening and anything to get some money to save up to get my first Beetle.
And what year was that Beetle that you got?
It was this current one. So 1971, that's the one. Yeah, that's me at 14 years old.
Nice.
That's when I first got it. Yeah.
So you end up getting this Beetle. What do you end up buying this Beetle for originally?
About £750, which is probably about $800, something like that.
Back then that's really good money in '96. That's like a couple grand in today's money.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it was. It was only 20 years old then, which is obviously quite a lot, but compared to how old it is now, it's not. Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't too bad a condition, to be honest. When I got it, I was probably there's me. My curtains, my hair. I probably spent the first year just doing learning to weld and doing some smaller bits of welding. The welding wasn't that bad on it, to be honest, for a UK car. There's under the back seat where they normally go. The gutters were a bit corroded at the far end, but it comes down by the deck lid. And that was one of the reasons why I de-seamed that little bit on the original first generation of it to get the rust gone. But yeah, it wasn't too bad at all.
So it's a UK. Yeah, it's a 1971 Beetle. You pick it up. You're 14 years old at the time. And, and you get this car. It's your, obviously when you're that young and it's your first car, it's like it's the best car ever. And so you decide to start going through the process to build this car. And this car eventually turns into a semi-custom car at the time, pretty popular, and it ended up in Volksworld magazine. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, 1996. Yeah, what happened? I got into the car. I was around about 88, and then in 89, I went to Bug Jam 89 I've heard you've discussed it in the other podcasts, that kind of changed everything for me, really. I mean, the initial plan when I first got it was just to, get the welding done, tidy it up, maybe lower it a little bit, and just enjoy it when I passed my test. But then when I went to Bug Jam 89 and saw what people were doing and all the crazy cars of the time, and then following on from that it's 93 into another show, saw Bernard Newbury's gear. I'd seen the Thump cars, the paint box cars, all these crazy creations. And obviously a young, impressionable, 11, 12, 13-year-old just got a bit carried away.
And so, I mean, what is your background where you start doing the work on the car? Or when you originally build this car, are you doing a lot of stuff hands-on, or are you saving money and paying people to do stuff?
The first bit of welding I had done, I saved up and had this mobile mechanic. It was more of a mechanic, and he actually did some welding on it. It was actually like a gas welding rather than a MIG welding. And then I think it was probably the second year I had the car. I bought myself a MIG welder, and then I welded up all the holes on the trim. It's a 1300 model. What else I did? I got rid of the vent moons behind the quarter glass. I just did tiny little bits and pieces. Obviously, at the time, I wasn't, earning a huge amount of money with paper rounds and anywhere to get some money, really. But when I was 16, left school and went straight into a job for a company called Mr. Bug, who was a independent air-cooled restorer. And you started to learn skills there and find out how to do things. And so the original suicide doors were done there. We did them there. I think we used something like Peugeot 309 tailgate hinges, something like that. But yeah, it was all done. The dash I smoothed myself, cut it out in my parents' garage. Yeah, all the work originally was done in the single garage, and when I got it back the second time, all the work's been done in a single garage by myself. So just as I went along, really, just learnt new skills, and went from there.
Now, do you remember any particular magazine or car that when you saw it, like in particular, that was something where you were like, man, I've seen this car and it's just kind of changed my trajectory. Like, I thought Beetles were cool to some degree, but now it's a whole different deal. And I'm going to where you went, you went full custom crazy after going to Bug Jam 89.
Yeah. I think it was cars like, at the time was a car called Flat Out, which had a Carson top, suicide doors. I think someone's restoring it again now. It's been found and done. Like I say, Bernard Newbury's gear, which is now owned by Stu Betty, and let's say the Targa Bug. And there was a roadster. I think the very first one that really got my attention was a guy called, I think his name was Stephen Kay, and he did a Wizard Roadster, and that was the purple color, and it was really highly detailed. And then I think the first real Beetle that the detail just blew my mind. It was a blue, I can't think what year it was now. It was an upright headlamp one, pretty sure, and it was called Trophy Trap in the magazine. And it was just something else. I mean, all the wiring had been done in all red wires. There's all one color. It was so clean and tidy, and I think it just blew my mind. And being a bit, well, not that I knew at the time, probably being a bit OCD, it was like it went towards my tendencies of what I wanted to build,
right,
which is the next level, so to speak.
And so working at Mr. Bug, it kind of got you your confidence to where you felt like you're in the VWC now, and you're kind of in the custom hobby. And where is this place located? Like, what part of the UK is Mr. Bug located?
It's in Bristol, so I'm in southwest of England. I live in Wales. I'm originally from Bristol. You can probably tell by my accent.
Yeah.
So yeah, Southwest. It's about probably 120 miles from London to towards the Southwest.
And so you get your first car, you get your job over here, and you're customizing your Beetle. Now, what's it like? How old are you when it comes out in the magazine in '96?
So '96, I would have been 87, 9. I'd have been 19 when it was just 18 when it came out. So
18 years old, yeah, and to have your car featured in the magazine's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, it's
blew my mind. Yeah. I mean, it was after cause I went to the Volksworld show in '96, won the People's Choice Award then, which again I just wasn't, for reading the magazines from 1991, just to even have it at the show was enough. But to get a little bit of recognition for it, it blew my mind really.
And then with this car in particular, now I'm noticing on the first feature, it shows the car like in 3 stages. Did you had air? What kind of suspension did you have on the car the first time it was built?
It was hydraulics. So I had company Raven hydraulics, and it was 4 rams, obviously one at each wheel, and then the pump in the back with a huge lorry battery, which I had that on. And I actually didn't have it. I had it on for probably 6 months, and then I didn't really have enough batteries to power it. And I went out to, I'm a member of Bath Air Cooled, which I became a member of that club in probably about '93. And I took it out to a meet at the pub we met at, and came out afterwards, and the battery had completely gone flat, and we couldn't raise the car up. So myself and a friend Dan were there to the wee hours trying to get it to work, and then eventually I had the recovery people came and had to put some hoist underneath it and lift it up in the air onto a recovery truck. And it wasn't long after that I took the hydraulics off. I think just for a daily car, it just wasn't. At the time, hydraulics were so new in the UK, especially, and I don't think it was. It wasn't quite. I needed more batteries. I just didn't have the space for it in the car.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in the world of adjustable suspension in 1996, hydraulics is fairly revolutionary, but it's what do they do as far as suspension, right? Rides pretty stiff. Is the tires all you have, or was there springs on the rams?
No, it was because I know Ray does the kit now with the fluid disperse box with springs. No, it was literally just metal rams, no springs at all. So it was pretty harsh. It wasn't the best ride back then.
it was all about the look back then. Yeah. No, it's I mean, go ahead.
I was saying the front beam. I mean, it was on at the time. In looking at it now, in the magazine, I thought it was really low, but compared to now, it wasn't. But I lowered it. I think it was probably 2 splines on the rear at the time, and then I had I put some sway away adjusters into the front beam, and it wasn't low enough, so I actually cut and turned the sway aways to make it even lower. So that didn't help at all with the ride either.
Right. So I mean, again, this car for the time, it's got the custom taillights, and it's got it's got all the stuff that you would have back, the fully polished 5 spokes. It's got are those 39? So those 39 Ford taillights, and then
with blue dots.
And one of the cool things they were doing in the UK that I saw was getting rid of the air vents. And then you had it looks like it says suicidal on the back where the rear air vents were.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just to go with the suicide doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot. So I think that came from the Targa Bug was the first one I saw. Jay Townsend did, and the Lemon Beauvoir, which was I loved that car. That was kind of got me on that route.
And then so you have this car for you get the car in the magazine '96. You're 18, 19 years old. You're on cloud 9. How long do you have the car after that? What kind of things happen to where you end up eventually selling the car?
I only actually had the car. I think so that was March. It was in the Volksworld show. And actually in the article when that article came out, the car had already actually sold it because that was the Christmas edition of Volksworld did December '96. So at that point, the car had actually already gone. And in fact, I did the article with the person who wrote it, but the pictures were done by the next owner. It was done by them. So it was a bit strange that having all my words, but the car was gone, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But yeah, the reason I got rid of it is it was my everyday car, and it was a pearlescent paint as well. And one day someone scratched it, and I had to have it repainted down the side. And it was just too nice a car. I'd done too much to it really for a daily use.
And you were you're at the point where you're kind of just moving on, like, okay, I've had my fun with that car. I'm kind of moving on. And then how soon after you sell it, do you regret selling it?
Probably about 3 minutes. I can remember obviously I was only 18, 19, and I was living at home, and I can remember the guy coming to get it, and then it drove off down the road, and I thought, oh no, I've just made a massive mistake.
Yeah. I know that. I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, and so life carries on. You know, I was 19. I was with my now wife, which I met her through the car, through getting the car. Yeah, so I said probably in 1992, 93. So back then, there was no internet and anything like that. So I got in Volksworld, they used to do a listing of all the local clubs or clubs throughout the UK. And my local one was Bath Air Cooled. So I contacted them because I was only 13, 14. I couldn't drive. So luckily, one of the people who ran the club didn't live that far from me. So she used to come and pick me up every month and take me to the club. And then my now brother-in-law got a Beetle. I met him through the club, and he started picking me up and taking me. And then I met his sister. And then a few years after that, we got together, and now we're married. Been married, got to get this right, haven't I? 22 years now.
Yeah.
Or is it 20? Yeah, 22 years.
Don't mess that up. Don't mess that up.
Yeah,
so now Bath Air Cooled, is that near Bath, England? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they at the time they are Bath Air Cooled, but they're not actually in Bath. They've been going since I think 1988. It's one of the longest running clubs in the UK.
So that's that whole area where Stonehenge, all that stuff is. That's the side of the UK where you're at, like that southeast side.
Yeah.
That's always the stand for us guys from the States. That's the standard. Get a rental car and drive out to Bath, and then go to stop at Stonehenge on your way to Bath, and then check all that stuff out, which is pretty unique. And when I'm out there, I'm immersed in all the Roman architecture and all that stuff in Bath, and then to realize there's a Volkswagen club there, it's because it's kind of this time warp, but I think it'd be pretty cool to, there's a lot of 2-lane roads out there. It's definitely wide open, and a lot of, it definitely doesn't, what was that?
The roads are pretty awful.
Oh yeah.
It is, pretty open, but yeah. Well, where I live now, I live about, probably 15 miles from Bath now. Yeah. 15, 20 miles in Wales. And actually, in the magazine, the latest one, that's actually my road. The pictures have been taken in where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I work at Wells Cathedral now, which is a bit of a change to when I was a panel beater.
Yeah.
So I live in that road. That road's called Vicar's Close. And it's I'll get this right, it's the oldest continuously inhabited street in Europe.
Really?
The houses were built in 1363.
Oh wow, that's wild.
Yeah, so they're pretty old. They're pretty damp and cold as well. So they're grade 1. We have like a listing over here, so they're grade 1 listed. And I get the house with my job. Luckily, because I'm a verger at the cathedral, and everyone who lives in the road is. I keep looking across. I got the mag at the asset. Is linked to the cathedral in some way, so it's a very lucky.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. When we come from the States, we've got some history here that started back in the, 1700s, 1600s, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But really, it was super primitive back then. And we really kind of kick it off around 1776, right? Really things start taking off over here. But you get back there in the UK, and I mean, it goes deep into some history over there, which is really, it's really great from a tourist perspective to go out there and see it. It's one of my favorite places. I've been quite a bit through Europe, France, Belgium, Germany, all that stuff. Still, my favorite place to go is the UK and it's probably because first, everyone speaks English there. Second, it more feels, a lot more Western, than some of the other stuff that's out there. But so
we get quite a lot of American. We have over the summer at the cathedral, we have a lot of visiting choirs. We get a lot of choirs from America come and sing. We've had this year. We've had Texas. We have one from Beverly Hills. Yeah, lots of choirs come and from America. And we love having them.
And it's a pretty famous cathedral, known for like the acoustics and stuff in there to perform as a choir. More of a historical thing, or is it acoustically appreciated too?
Yeah, it's really well known for music. There's a school, Wells Cathedral School, linked to the cathedral, and it's a music based school. We have 12, bit off topic here. We have 12 full-time choir adults singing, professional choir, and then there's about 18 to 20 choristers, boy and girl choristers. So yeah, it's heavily influenced music cathedral.
And it's fairly popular with respect to a tourist destination, and for people that are touring cathedrals and stuff like that.
Yeah, very, very popular. Very, very popular.
Now,
because we got the reason, I think one of the main reasons is if you ever look up the cathedral, we've got a clock. We've got the oldest. This is a good bit of a history lesson. the oldest clock in the world is in Salisbury Cathedral, but the oldest clock face is in Wells Cathedral, which dates back to, I think it's oldest known, but 1320, I think it is, the clock.
Yeah, that's wild. It is wild. It's wild how much history is there. And it's definitely, I mean, I recommend anybody, if you're going to go, you got to spend 2 weeks in the UK just going throughout England, through a bunch of the historical sites over there, because, there's just, I think when we went to, I think it was, we happened to be in Scotland at the time, and we also went to that, there's the one that's in that movie with Tom Hanks, the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of that one, but we checked that one out. I mean, there's a lot of really cool history, and the cool part, is if you can couple that with the VW experience at the same time, it's even better, because you see all this rich history, and then you show up at a VW event, and there's all your people. You know what I mean? So it's really one of my favorite things to do. The first time I went to the UK, was for Volksworld, and then we spent about 2 weeks just kind of cruising all throughout Germany, France, and back to the UK a couple times before the show, and then wrapped it up at Volksworld, and then came home. So I recommend that vacation to just about all the VW people that listen to this.
Well, if you're ever this way again, or anyone else, any of the listeners are in this neck of the woods, look me up, and I can give them a behind the scenes tour of the cathedral and take them around the town.
Well, we'll be back there again this year, if not once, twice. So I'd like to try to make 2 trips there this 2026 coming up, but we'll see what happens. But so let's get back on topic of the car. So you own the car, you sell it, you instantly regret selling the car, but now life moves on, right? You get married, you start kind of going through life and all this, and then now you do reach out to the owner, or does that guy sell the car and you reach out to the second owner?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I got into a few years after I got into motorbikes. And I had got into like custom Harleys, that sort of thing. And I had a Harley Sportster chopper. Got more into the hot rod American car scene. But yeah, I still carried on. Still, my love was the Volkswagens, and we continued to go to the Volksworld show at Sandown Park. And I can't remember what year it was. It would have been probably around the 2000s, and you've been to Sandown Park, the Volksworld show. They got the big swap meet upstairs. I remember looking out over the Sandown Park's a racetrack, as you know, horse racing track, and I looked out over and I just spotted this green, pearlescent green car. I thought, oh, sure that's my old car, and we took a wander out, and it was my car. And I got chatting to the guy and asked if he wanted to sell it, and as you do, but he hadn't long had it. I think he only had it a few months and wasn't really interested in selling it. So I gave him my number and then just waited to see if he give me a call if ever you want to sell it. I had actually seen it previously again. I just remembered that. So probably about 2 years after I sold it. So probably about 98, 99. We were down at there's a show, Run to the Sun, down in Newquay, and we were down there, and I saw it there, and the guy who I originally sold it to had it, and he'd done some quite nasty things. He'd put a lot of stickers over it, and the Tasmanian Devil and that sort of thing was very popular at the time, and he stuck all these like stickers all over the car, and it just ruined it. But
Nice.
When I saw it, it was just awful. And you think, why have you done that? And then, but when I saw it at the Volksworld show, luckily at that point, all the stickers had been taken off. And I did call the guy a couple of times, but he never returned my calls, or didn't have no interest, or I'd sold it on, but he never really came back to me.
And then how does the car finally come back into your life? Like what takes place? And then what year is this, right? What year is all this going on where, you see the car in the early 2000s over in the show, or the mid 2000s?
Yeah. So it would have been about, so it would have been probably 2000, 2002, I saw it at the Volkswagen show. Because I continued going to the show. Still, I had a Golf at the time. I got into a few water-cooled cars as well. I got a black Golf VR6, which had 17-inch wheels, OZ wheels at the time, which back then the wheels were, 17s were a massive big wheel. That was like the biggest wheel you could get. So I still had that itch for Volkswagens. And so a friend of mine who was around when I was doing the restoration the first time, he'd taken some video camera footage of the car, and he put it onto DVD, and he just dropped it around the house. He came around the house and said, I've just done this DVD for you, and might want to see it, sort of thing. Some old like VHS or Betamax like video recorder. And he said, by the way, I know where your old car is. I was like, oh, right, yeah. I mean, at the time I wasn't really in a position to buy it. And he said, oh, yeah, it's down in this garage down in Portsmouth, this repair shop. So I said, oh, okay. I wasn't really too bothered, and I thought, I'll bear it in mind. So this was about 2000, and this would have been actually before 2009. It probably would have been about 2000 and late 2006, 2007 when he bought the DVD round. I remember I did call the garage probably probably 3 or 4 months after, just to find out if the car, out of interest really, just sort of, is it there sort of thing, what's it doing, what's going on with it. And the guy was there, and someone had taken it in for some work, and they started to change one of the floor pans, not very well, I might add, when I got it back, but and the guy had dropped it off there and just disappeared for about a year, and hadn't been back, and they hadn't been paid for the job. So he said, yeah, it's still here, but yeah, the guy's going to come back at some point. So again, I left it again for probably another year. So the beginning of 2009, phoned up again, and I said, look, is the car still there? He said, yeah, it's still here. So again, the guy had been back and paid for the part of the floor to be done, and then wanted some more work done, but due to his history, they didn't really want to do any work till he paid for it. But he hadn't been back. So I arranged to go down and see it down at this garage in Portsmouth, more just to see it. And we discussed the price if he wanted to sell it. But obviously in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, it's not technically his car. It's someone else's car. I can't, I want to,
right.
If we're going to do it, I want to do it right. I had these visions if I got it back, restored it, and someone knocking on the door one day saying, oh, you got my car illegally, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, went to see it. it was a strange place where it was. It was kind of like I don't think you have like this in the States. It's like this old Victorian terrace house, like a load of terrace houses, and the front of this house had been knocked out and turned into a garage, and all the downstairs had been knocked through. And we went in, and it's just absolute tip in there. And I was like, oh, where's this car? I can't see. We walked on through it. Yeah, that's it. Well, that is actually partly uncovered at that point. You wouldn't believe. So we walked past, and the guy came out and I said, I've come to see the Beetle. He went, oh, yeah, you just walked past it. I was like, what? Where is it? But also on that picture, you can just see the teardrop there. That is literally all I could see of the car when I walked. So I said, oh, yeah. So he said, oh, I'll get it cleared out. So we went with one of my friends and my wife and went to the pub. Came back, and he had fair play, but it had been used as a bit of a skip, as you can see. But yeah, the wheels were still on it. He put different extra set of lights on the back. It had just been left there. So I said to the guy, look, I want to buy it. And he said, well, I'll try and get hold of the guy to see if I can get the logbook, and I'll just say, either you pay for what you've done or take the car, or it's mine, the cost of storage sort of thing. So it probably took it was towards the end of 2009 when I actually managed to get it back, because it just took so long. The guy, he never got hold of the guy, but he had details for the guy's dad, and he phoned him up and said, look, either you get the car or you pay me whatever X amount for storage for his last few years.
I mean, judging by the picture, so for those guys listening to the audio version of the podcast, this car is like, if you could imagine this car being parked in a hoarder's garage where the entire inside is jammed full of just stuff to store, and then there's just stuff piled on the car where you can't even see it. And it's like, I mean, judging by the picture alone, it had to be there for a few years at least.
I think it had been there probably 5 years at least. Yeah.
That's incredible. So you end up negotiating a deal.
Yeah, I mean, so when I sold, I was just giving you an idea. So in '96, when I sold it for £3,900.
Oh, good grief!
Which is, I think, probably about $5,000 at the time, something like that. I don't know.
Right.
And then I bought it back for £400, which I thought was quite a good deal because I know the wheels were probably still worth that.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was about the best thing on the car at that point.
And so you get the car back, and what kind of conditions the car in when you get it?
Well, once we got it back, I cleaned it off, and it didn't look too bad. But then more I dug, I mean, I sent you some pictures. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, yeah.
So it was quite a bit more rusted than when you had the car, or it's just been like time had taken its toll, and from sitting and being left outside and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it hadn't been looked at. I mean, those holes that boot floor there, where the guy had put hydraulics back on it again, but rather than just cutting holes, he looked like he got like an axe and just axed the hole through the boot floor. But no, 'cause when I did it the first time, say the heater channels, I didn't replace the heater channels the first time because they were actually okay. So I just think over time it had been left outside, it had been just abused really. I mean, when I got it back, the driver's side door was all creased, where at some point the suicide door had flown open. But yeah, so as you can see, all the floors were I mean, the list of repair panels. I mean,
it's almost like it's regrettable to buy the car back because it's so much worse than when, and it's more of now a sentimental project. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I always keep saying, I say to a lot of people, if I could turn back time, I'd probably never made that phone call because, the amount of hours, well, I'll say it's been 15 years, gradually over time, saving money, doing work. Yeah, it was more the sentimental value. Obviously, meeting my wife through the car, my parents, just my childhood, really. But the plan was always just to get it back before I knew how bad it was. And just probably spend a couple of grand on it if I could, and just get it on the road. But that,
And what did she think when you brought this thing home? What was she thinking?
Well, she actually lent me the money to buy it because I think we didn't have much money, and I think grandparents had given her some money, so she lent me the £400 to buy it back. So it's kind of her fault, really.
Right.
When I got it back, I was actually I was storing it in Bristol in my brother-in-law's house. So it's about a 25 mile drive from here. So I was doing. I was going up to Bristol every Tuesday, every Monday night, seeing my parents, staying at their house, and then working on the car all day Tuesday, and then coming back. So that was in a single garage without electric. So I had to run an extension cable out of the window of the house and then around to the garage to do the work. Yeah, I did the rooftop in that garage as well.
And so when you started going to the car, because of your experience working in a body shop and being a panel beater back in the day, you're like, well, let me start replacing the panels and parts and pieces on this car. How long does that take?
Well, yeah, I've had to. Well, I cut out so much of the car. Probably to do the main welding of all the just to get the rust out. Probably 2009. Probably about 2 years before I did any of the modifications, because it's. Let's say I had new front valance, new wheel well, complete front quarters. Ended up doing new doors, complete rear quarters up past the belt line, 2 new floors, heater channels, cross members, Napoleon's hat, bulkhead.
So
there's not much car left
of the original car. It's like the front, the front cowl and the dash.
Yeah, probably the dash, and then like the section under the bonnet. That's probably about it.
That's wild. So you go through the process to get all this stuff situated with the car. You get it. So now you what makes you decide to chop the car? And I mean, once you start cutting the car, you're like, you know what? Instead of recreating what I already made, I'm just gonna go, completely left field and do something totally different. Is kind of your standpoint at this part in the game. I mean, was your original plan to make Suicidal 2.0? That was the original plan, or like?
Make it better. I mean, obviously, I had a bit more money then when I was, 17, 18 originally, and the skills had got better, and the panels were a lot better. Not brilliant still, but they were. There's a lot more better quality panels around to do the work. It was a bit easier. But yeah, I mean, as the car, it was a 71 model, so it wasn't a really desirable model when I got it. When I first got it, it was like I just wanted a Beetle. Didn't really know much about the different models and that sort of thing. But and I say it already was modified, so it was never going to go back to standard. That wasn't my style anyway. And I started seeing different pages, groups on Facebook. The Back to 89 and Bob Daniels's custom Beetles, and that was always what interested me, and getting onto the hot rods after that and custom bikes. So it was always destined to be what it is now. When I had it the first time round, I wanted to roof chop it then, but I just didn't have the skills. And I'd spoken to there was a company at the time called Paintbox, a guy called Simon Emery, and I'd actually spoken to him about doing the roof chop. And I think at the time he was quoting me something like £800 to do it, which was unbelievable when you think about it now. But it's never happened. It never happened. So when I got it back, I thought, no, I want to. As I started on that route of doing all the body work, and I thought, I want to do this, I want to do that. It was like a slippery slope down the modified. So I had a look on the. I had a look on the sample, a build thread for someone who had done a roof chop. So I don't know, I probably studied that for months and looked at it, and I thought, no, I'm just going to do it. So I spent a couple of days marking it up, got a few spare roofs, and just went for it.
And then, so you start doing the roof chop, and I mean, a roof chop is quite a bit of work on a Beetle because of the arched roof and the four. You got 6 windows to contend with, and everything's changing shapes because everything is shaped to fit the standard roof. So when you go to chop this thing, I mean, it's a big, not only do you have to split all the window sections, you have to split the roof in half because it actually gets wider as it goes lower, because of the dome shape.
Yeah. I mean, people say, because they say, it's had a 4-inch, 2-inch, whatever roof. It's a 4-inch chop, but when you do the 4-inch, actually on the C post, it works out more. So even though it still gives a 4-inch lowered roof, it's probably about 6 inches out of the C pillar to get it level. But and then so you have the 1, 2, 4 sections of roof, which then you put out. Then you have a second roof for that's it for the B posts, and then another roof for the capping bit in the middle, and then another set of doors for the tops, because like you say, as it gets cut, it all moves down and out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I mean, after I started, I think, it's past the point of no return, really.
Yeah, it's quite. I mean, and all the chop work you did, all the metal work on the car, you've done personally in a single car garage with an extension cord.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so the roof chop, as you can see, roof chop, the oval section, rear window, and the front section of I put a front section of an oval roof in as well. All the rust repairs, welding, was done in that single garage. I moved it from that garage not long after and did. The suicide doors were done in another single garage. The picture there you can see with the anyone's watching on the channel. So when you lowered the roof, I didn't like the proportions of the rear quarter windows. They tend to go a bit squat and long. Right. So I cut that out and then brought it back in by 2 inches just to make the window more of the original shape.
Right, because that's the thing, you're trying to keep the proportions to look balanced,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I did think about doing like a lower chop, but I wanted it. The whole idea with the car was to look like it hadn't been done. And I think that's what anyone does. I didn't want it to stand out that it looked obviously chopped. I mean, I've had people now and say about and people just think it's an oval. People don't really know, but but they say, it's an oval. And I tell them the year. People who are quite new into the scene.
Yeah, but, you got a double take for sure when you first look. I mean, once it's all finished, I mean, obviously looking at these pictures, I mean, I was never a big fan of chop top Beetles, and then, I own the red car from VW Trends, and that car, it was the only chop top I saw that I liked because it didn't look like it was chopped. It just looked. Yeah. And the funny part is talking to Scott, who built the car. I asked him why did he chop it, and he said because he wanted a 64 and earlier, so he only did a 4-inch chop, so it looked like an earlier car. And it's so crazy because, that's the reason that car kind of appeals to me, is because the chop that's done on it is not so excessive that it, because they have the pull down chops where they're slanted in the front, or sometimes the windows start to wedge out to a point. It's there's there's so much work in it that you can, they can go from good looking to pretty quick.
Pretty quick. Yeah. You have to really take your time over it. Obviously with welding as well, warping stuff. But it turned out. I was really pleased with it actually. How it turned out. It came out really well, the chop in the end. But then obviously you got the issue of the glass, getting glass cut and that sort of thing. But
luckily most of the glass is fairly flat, right? So it doesn't. It's not too crazy, but it's still quite a bit of work.
I actually, when I debuted it at Volksworld this year, we were putting it together, and it was 2 days before the show, and we had to sit, the windscreen wasn't sitting in right, so we had to take it out and put it back in, and actually the windscreen cracked. So at the Volksworld show, it was actually had a Perspex windscreen. Luckily, I had a big piece of Perspex, so quickly made a Perspex windscreen and put it in there for the show. That's I think that's Dorset Volksfest, that one. But at the Volksworld show, it had a Perspex windscreen in it. Which is
like a plexiglass window.
Plexiglass window, yeah, cut out with a jigsaw just to get it. It was I just couldn't believe it. Literally 2 days before the show.
The race to the show. So now you get all the metalwork, everything done, and you go right to the paint shop. I mean, what's the story behind getting it painted? And finally, once you get all the metalwork done, you got to go find a body guy to kind of finish up the car and get it painted. Is that smooth sailing? No issues?
Well, like I say, I did all the panel work and that myself. I had lead loaded all the roof and that sort of thing. Got that. I taught myself lead loading and did that because I didn't want to put too much filler into the roof. I was worried about cracking, that sort of thing. I did have an issue. I can't really say too much, shall we say, for legal reasons. I did have an issue with one body shop that I went to. I ended up taking it out of there and taking it to another shop.
So it was a situation where you took it to a body shop. It kind of went into body shop prison where stuff doesn't get done. They're really good at taking deposits, not really good at doing any work.
That's it. Yeah, it was all over COVID, and so for probably 2 years I hardly even saw the car, and I think it just sat, and then the bills come in, not a lot of work's getting done, and so I just had to in the end just get it out of there. But it was a battle. That's all I can say.
And then during that time, are you working on the parts and pieces and the bits that you have at the house and trying to just get that stuff done? Because I know on this particular motor that you've got a ton of work done to the motor.
Yeah. So I had the engine built I've actually had the engine built about 10 years ago. And I thought the car was going to get done a lot quicker, but it didn't.
Right.
And so the engine and gearbox were in my dining room for almost 10 years. my wife's very understanding. So at Christmas or wherever, we had people around for supper or dinner. We just put a sheet over it and just cover it. It's not there. You can't see it.
Nice.
But so I got a bit, going back to my, it's a picture you're showing there. So the engine I have built, it's a 2165 block. And then I supplied all the carbs, the exhaust, all that sort of thing. And it was a pretty standard looking engine. And I say I'd done the car, and it was pretty high spec. And I bought all stainless fittings and AN fuel oil lines and that. And I was just there one day, and I think it was probably from when I got into the motorbikes. There was a guy in America, XR Choppers. He's actually from the UK, a guy called Russell Mitchell. And his bikes are really plain. They're all black, and he doesn't have any chrome on them. They're just he does this like stainless steel effect, which I really like the look of. So I actually contacted him in the States, and I asked what he did and how I had a general idea anyway. And then it was one of those things where I just started on the engine. Yeah, it was just one of those things which I wish I'd never started it, because it was just so much work. Yeah, that's it. So that's his trike he built. I think it was a program called Biker Build Off, and he built that trike for Biker Build Off. But yeah, all the chrome and anything polished is all flatted to look like a brushed stainless. I just really like the look of it. So I started with the engine block, which I used like a little electric power file first of all. Then went through various grits, 80 grit, 120 grit, 240, 400, and then right up to Scotch Brite, red, green, and grey, and then keeping it. So I did the whole block. I did did the alternator, the pedestal, everything you can see pretty much on it. Anything was And actually the car. Oh, and the distributor. The distributor on it is not in that picture, because that was when I first put the engine in. That one picture then with the coil on the fan shroud. I then took the engine out, had the tinware painted again, because I wasn't happy with the finish on the paint on the tinware originally. So in that picture there with the coil off, the coil was actually inside the car, because the engine's raised by 2 inches. There's just no room to put the coil anywhere.
Yeah.
So on I got the breather box on one side, and then the coil was actually bolted to the inside of the luggage department. So I ended up doing all the every bit of polish has been done with that finish. The distributor that's on there is a 123, one of the Bluetooth ones.
Right.
So I had to rub all the castings off of that. So I think I've probably got 300 hours, I'd say, just in that engine alone. People just say I'm insane, but when you start it, I think it looks. I'm really pleased how it turned out, and a lot of people comment on it, so it was worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, looking at all the edges smooth and all the brush to where it kind of looks pretty good. Like it looks like it's a machined block, right? After that. So
yeah.
What's the trick to keeping that thing clean?
So again, so at the time, originally, I've actually done it twice because I originally lacquered I put a clear lacquer over it all just to like try and keep the look. And then when we were polishing the car, and some of the polishing compound got on the lacquer, and so I don't know how it did it, because you use polishing compound on lacquer, it ate into the lacquer, and like it started to bubble, and so I ended up rubbing it all down again to get all the lacquer off, which actually took almost as long as originally rubbing it down. So now it's just so it's the final finish is grey Scotch Brite. You have to just keep going in one direction to get the brush look, and then you just get some like WD-40 penetrating oil on a cloth and just wipe it over, and it just like seals it. And then actually we've done it twice now since the car's been on the road. Every now and again, you just need to just go over it again with some Scotch Brite, just because it starts to oxidize a bit, the aluminium. And then put some more oil on it again, and it's good to go.
I mean, I think it's one of those details that's overlooked that a lot of people, again, this is a time thing, not a money thing, right? To do something like this.
Yeah.
And if you're able to commit the time to it, I mean, it's definitely something worthwhile, because it really gives, you don't really notice it at first, but then when you start looking at it, it just really gives off a real nice machined kind of look where everything's just nice, smooth, and clean, so.
And what in real life, even like all the tinware screws, the linkage, the manifolds is all done in the same. They've all been rubbed down and done the same look on them as well. So every part, anything that's silver, has had that brushed look done to it.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely have a ton of time in this car now. So you get the car painted, you start working on the details and stuff like that. Now this car's got air suspension on it, right? Now on this
That's
this time
right.
around.
It's got it's now got Eva Resto air suspension on it. When I first built it, had the dog back beam, which is amazing quality stuff. But because, and I rate it highly and recommend it to anyone, the quality is amazing. Because the car is so low, say it's got a 2-inch transmission raise and a 2-inch frame head raise, his kit gives a really good lift, but for a car so low, it wasn't quite enough. So I spoke to Michael, and he tried to sort it, and it just wasn't. Again, I'm not putting his product down. It was really, really good. I recommend it to anyone. But I just needed more lift, so I ended up going for the Max Eva Resto's airbag bolt-on kit on the rear, and then shocks on the front. But with the back, because it was a 2-inch raise, I had to get Max to make, because it's got a bar that goes across that joins the two housings on the back for the airbags. So I had to get that, the what are they called, like the tower housings that bolt to the original shock mounts. So I had to get them raised up.
Cross beam.
The cross beam, it had to be made slightly different. And then when I put that on, I had to also change, because I had the remote oil cooler was above the gearbox. And I had to get a smaller one because it was hitting on the oil cooler. It's like anything. It's when you modify one thing, there's always 5 or 6 other things afterwards, which then take the time to put right. But so it's on Eva Resto's premium kit with 3 a 3P airlift system. I've actually got 3H. I've actually got height sensors on it, which Max supplies the brackets for that. But I'm not really using it because with the 3H, it's constantly monitoring the height. It's not too bad on the front, but on the rear, I think because with obviously the camber of the wheels go negative on the Beetle when you lower it, the height sensors just can't work it out. So it is constantly changing. So to be honest, I'm just using it on the free. I've got the height sensors turned off because they're just more hassle than they're worth on a Beetle.
So now you got air suspension with a modern technology and a good ride. Now, one of the things I really like about this car is I really love the interior in this car because, you listen to the podcast, you're that's the other thing we didn't mention, right? You're an avid podcast listener. You like Let's Talk Dubs and you've been listening for a long time. And
I listen to every episode. And some of them a few times because there's some of them, some really interesting chat, technical chat, and just nice to listen to as well. I tend to listen to them in the car or when I'm working on the car with headphones on and just have it on in the background sort of thing. But I listen to all of them. Love it.
And from listening, that I love the 80s style, I love cow look, I love all the stuff, but I really love when people go and just follow through with the style on the car. And I really enjoy your interior style in this car. Like a lot of people will do like chop, custom, all the stuff, and then stock interior. And it's like, it just doesn't make any sense, right? And when you start going down the road of doing a custom hot rod inspired Beetle, I really, really, really love the interior and everything that you've done with the interior in this car. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, what's the inspiration for the interior on this car?
Well, I think that the interior is probably my favorite part of the car as well. I absolutely love it. It came out far above and beyond what I had in my mind. So I wanted the car to be like, I got into hot rods and that sort of thing, and I always enjoyed going to different car shows, like hot rod shows as well, and seeing how they did their cars. And like to say, the outside was so different with the chop and all the modifications, but part of the inspiration was for the back seat anyway was like kind of based on like the Singer Porsches sort of thing, almost like two bucket seats. But a good friend of mine, Chris, who did the interior retro retrims, he's based in Taunton. He does a lot of all he does is like classic cars. He doesn't do any. He's a trimmer, not doesn't do normal modern cars. So majority of his cars are high end American muscle cars or hot rods. So he has that influence anyway. And we chatted, and I said, look, this is what the look I want to go for, because I wanted to take the car to different shows. I love going to air cool shows, but I love going to any car show, really. I'm just a car guy, and I like, it gets received well by lots of other enthusiasts. So we kind of, I think the car was there with him, and I was in no rush. He was really booked up because he's so busy, and I think I booked it, even though he's a friend, about a year. I had to wait to get it into him, and then I think he probably had it. He's an absolute perfectionist, so I think he had it for probably 3 months before he even started working on it, because he just would just go out into his workshop and like look at it and decide how, come up with a plan of what we were going to do, and then he would like call me up, we'd have a chat, I'd go in, and and it kind of it became a bit of a passion project as well, because he's into VWs, he's got Golfs, that sort of thing. So, and he could see what the car was and what it could be like, and he in his own words, he got a bit carried away, but which was great for me. But all the rear seat is all he made. All the rear seat, the frame, everything there's no nothing VW in there at all in the back. So the seat is quite hard to see in the magazine or on the pictures. It actually flows down into the onto the floor.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has a waterfall kind of look to it, Yeah,
with the partial shelf as well. All the air rides behind the partial shelf, and then he made the did the one piece. Well, apart from on the roof rails, the center is like a one piece headliner or Alcantara with the trim in the middle, and then the world's smallest sun visors. He said, "Why do you want sun visors for?" The roof window is so small, but he cut down some sun visors. But it blew my mind when it was finally done. I just love it. It's my favorite part of the car, like you say.
Now you actually drive this car, right?
Yeah. I built it to drive. I mean, yeah. I got it. It's booked back into the guy who painted it. A guy called Jamie at JF Bodyworks. Fantastic. Can't rate him highly enough. But just he's only a one man guy, and the car was right up his street. He's done custom Volkswagens before, so I think he enjoyed working on it. But yeah, so I drive it, and it's actually I've got to book it back into him after Christmas to get a few bits tidied up again where I've driven it. But yeah, so I've driven it. It's been on the road since, well, I went to the Volksworld show in March. It was running then, but I couldn't drive it because the engine had been sat for so long. The clutch had got stuck to the flywheel, unfortunately. So as soon as it would go into gear when the engine was turned off, but as soon as you started the car, it would just jump forward. And we tried as hard as we could on the day we went to the Volksworld, but I just couldn't. But yeah, so I've probably got it driving in, I want to say, well, ready to drive in probably April, May. The first show I took it to was in the beginning of June. First show I drove it to was in beginning of June, which is Bristol Volksfest, which again is a local show to here. And I drove it there. But so since June to now, I've done probably 1,300 miles in the car. I've driven it to took it to Skeg Vegas show, which is up in Skegness. And that won't mean anything to a lot of your listeners, but from here it's about a 7-hour drive there, and then 7 hours back. Been to the K4 Nation show, which is organised by HR Autoworks. That's a 3-hour drive. Classic at the clubhouse. Yeah, so another 3-hour drive. So yeah, I love driving it. I built it to drive. I mean, people say, "Oh, you shouldn't drive it. It's too nice." It's like, no. Well, what's the point? What's the point in having it? I mean, it's nice to look at, but it's nice to see. I like to see people's reactions as well when you drive it.
Yeah, it definitely has a cool look to it, and to see that thing coming down the road, especially in the UK, has got to be a bit of an attention getter for sure, because it definitely has. It's definitely, when you see that car, it's not going to be confused with any other car, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one thing that's got to make you pretty proud. I mean, you had the car in the magazine when you were young, right? And now for the car to be finished at this point, and for you to, be able to get it done through all the pain and all the stuff you had to go through with that. I mean, that's got to feel pretty good.
It does, yeah. Sometimes you have to pinch yourself a bit sometimes. I was up there today actually, working. I started taking the engine out today because the engine sat for so long in my dining room. The crankcase oil seal has got a bit of a leak. So today I was in the process of taking the engine out to change that seal. And then I got there today and I was in there, just look at it. I think can't believe it's mine, and that it's all that hard work. And I always envisioned how it was going to look in my head. And it turned out far better than I ever thought it would. But I've driven it, and I've had people in Ferraris come past me and like slow down and put their thumbs up, and you stop at a petrol station, and you're talking 20 minutes, half an hour, people taking pictures, which is nice. It's nice people appreciate it, and that's to me, that's what I enjoy most about the scene, is going to shows and talking to people, and hopefully igniting something in another person to maybe go down that same route and do something a bit different, and just generally chat to people and be I like to chat and be friendly to people, and then you get something back from them as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an incredible car. I mean, it's definitely how you listen to the podcast stuff. My vibe, man, and I love when people do. When they kind of execute a project all their own. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but the reality is, I appreciate all the work that you've done to it. I appreciate, you trying to go outside of the box, do something different, because there's so much that's just people are just kind of, especially because Volkswagens have gone up in value, they've pigeonholed like the custom scene, like this is what you should do and keep it within these parameters. And, I like when people do a little something different, and, your car for sure is different. It's got its a unique look to it. I mean, it's been a labor of love. And the coolest part is that it's your car that you had. It's your first car, right? I mean, even though
first car, yeah.
You met your wife through it, all this stuff, and now it's like, here you are 30 years later with the same car, and we're doing a podcast about it, talking about it, because it's left its mark on the VW scene. So it's definitely something you should be proud of. I mean, I love the car. Now, what color actually is that car?
So it's actually a VW color. It's VW carbon steel metallic. They use it on VWs and Audis. It was used on like the Golf R. That sort. It was an optional color you had to pay extra for. But a friend of mine, he used it on a T4 many years ago, and I just love the color. I always wanted I was always looking at a grey, because I wanted something that wasn't, obviously that's the only real difference to some of the 80s, 90s car. The color is a bit dark, but I wanted it to be quite subtle in a way, so you had to look for the mods, but also so it wouldn't would test the time sort of thing. But it's just a color I love. So yeah, so I think it's LA9W, or LA9W is the code. But yeah, it's a standard VW, like a pearl. In certain lights, it looked black. When it was at the Volksworld show, some of the magazines pictures I saw, it's got a green tinge to it, so it does change color a little bit. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it turned out, the color.
Yeah, it definitely has a unique look to it. When I looked at it, I thought, man, it almost looks like it's a little bit of green, but it's like a charcoal black.
Yeah, it's like a really dark,
like a grayish black. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, it's a great car, man. You should definitely be proud of it. And then you're doing it right. Like, you're driving the car. It's not just a car that's a showpiece, sits in the garage and never gets any miles on it. I mean, I think that the fact that you drive it, and it is what it is, and you're still going to have to work on it and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's only paint, isn't it? It's only paint.
That's it. Well, listen, you got to be proud of it. And if people want to reach out to you, get in touch with you about the car, you on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, the Instagram is Suicidal Bug.
Suicidal Bug.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of pictures on there yet. But and then on Facebook, I'm on under Dave Lawler if anyone wants to hit on it. But yeah, Instagram's Suicidal, but at Suicidal Bug.
Yeah, well, definitely you got a ton of work in this thing, man, and I'm glad that we got to get you on the podcast and get the story about the car, because it's an incredible story that it's your first car, you sold it got away, you get it back, but as soon as you start digging into it, it's beyond the point of repair. But you just forge through it, which means you're part of the more money than brains club, or more labor than brains. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's probably that one. I mean, and what is nearly all my friends now I've met through the community, through the hobby. I think of all my friends, I've met them through Volkswagens. Some of my oldest friends. I mean, a friend of mine, Dan. He was there when I got the car, and he's moved the car around a number of times with his trailer, and he's one of my oldest friends. I mean, he was there when we originally built the car. When I originally built the car, and it went off to be primed. And there's a funny story where it was primed at this. We did all the filler at the house, and it went to this like body shop on a farm sort of thing to be primed, and we went to collect it on the night, and it was pitch black at night, and we towed it back along what would be like the freeway in the States, the motorway here, at night, towed it with his Ford Escort, no windows in it. I was sat on a bucket steering it, and yeah.
Listen, man, That's what VW guys do, right? Just whatever we have to do to be resourceful to get the project done. Wow.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Well, you should be proud. It's definitely a car that's like second time around. It's going to leave a mark in the VW scene, and it's I
appreciate that, Bill.
It's 30 years later, but still doing your thing. You know what I mean? So, man, listen, it's been great to have you on the podcast. And for sure, next time I get out to the UK, I'll look you up, especially if I'm heading out toward Bath and all that stuff, because I like to get the behind the scenes tour at the cathedral and check out a lot of that cool history, man.
Thanks to you, Bill, for the podcast and all you do. And, it's a lot of history there, a lot of the older generation you have on there. People who might not even be with us anymore, hearing their story, and it would just be lost. So thanks for what you do as well.
Well, hey, listen, all I think about is when I get the emails from people telling me that they're out in the garage working on their car and they're listening to Let's Talk Dubs, and it's motivating them like the magazines used to do to us back in the day. Like we get the magazines back in the day, and it's kind of that motivation to get us out there doing stuff. So hopefully there's somebody right now listening to this podcast that we're talking about right now, and they're in the garage turning wrenches and planning the debut of their car. And hopefully it just keeps, and that's really the whole purpose for my reason for doing the podcast, is to help motivate people, share the stories that we all collectively have, because there's so much overlap between all of us, and really just, putting that out there where it just motivates, encourages people. And then to get also to see that you're a guy with some skill that can go in your garage and just, you trade. If you don't got the money, you put in the time, you know what I mean? And you got a ton of time in this car, and
anything is possible. You just got to put your mind to it and learn and do it. But if anyone wants to to know anything I've done on the car and how I've done it, hit me up. I'm happy to help anyone out if they need to know anything about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate it, man. And for sure, you guys check out Dave's car. If you're going to see it at the show, go up to him, tell him you heard about it on Let's Talk Dubs, and ask some questions, and check out the car, because there's definitely a lot of really cool custom work done to this car. And to know that you've done so much of the work on this thing, with respect to all the customization and all the ideas, and I love to see that this car is out there inspiring other people to do their vision.
I'm taking it. The next show I'm going to next year is in Belgium. It's not a VW show. It's a modified car show called the Great International Show. And I'm trying to, a lot of non-VW people sometimes look down at Beetles, and I'm trying to get people more interested in the VWs and see what can be done to them. I mean, that show, I think it's something like 37,000 visitors over a weekend.
Wow.
It's all indoor. So and I say I went to the same Ultimate Stance was a show here again, a modified car show, and the reception the car got was unbelievable. It got top 15. There was Ferraris there, everything, and the people just loved it, which is great. They can see that what can be done with the humble Beetle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my favorite awards are the ones that I get at the car shows. I mean, I took Zorb out to the Lowrider show a year ago, and a guy just starts reposting videos he took of Zorba, because it gets crazy attention because the car is so unique, like especially in the lowrider world. And then, when I took Zorba to the Grand National Roadster show, just parked it outside, and it got recognized for a top 20 out of like 800 cars. And, it's good. It's good to bring that VW scene into the mass car culture, because, everybody has a connection to them, and especially when you're doing something different, definitely everybody can relate to it. So
yeah.
No, that's cool.
I appreciate that.
Well, Dave, great for having you on the podcast, and look forward to seeing your car, getting some more exposure, some of the more shows, and definitely post up a lot of pictures when you hit that show. When's that show in Belgium?
April, I think it's April the 18th, something like that. April the 17th, 18th.
Now, are you going to?
Sorry, go on.
No, are you going to be able to go to EBI this year? Are you going to take the car to EBI this year, or no?
I'm not going to go to EBI this year, but I'm hoping to the year after go to. I want to go to the Air Mighty show, Nils' show. He invited me to that this year. I just couldn't make it work. Money, that sort of thing, work.
Yeah.
So 2027, I want to go to Air Mighty, and I'd like to do Spa as well. Love to go to that show.
Yeah. Well,
that's my plan.
Hopefully we'll link up when I'm over there in the UK this year. So we'll for sure sit down and have a chat about some Volkswagens. I'll have a Coke Zero and we'll talk more Volkswagens, man. So
cheers, Bill.
Hey, thanks for coming on, brother.
Take care. Bye-bye.
If you like that podcast, and I'm sure you did, make sure you guys subscribe to Let's Talk Dubs, and you also share it with any of your VW friends. I'm sure they'd appreciate listening to some good VW content. There's over 300 episodes, man, to share. So that's a lot of good stuff to share with all your VW buddies. A lot of cool history and a lot of really special stories like the one we heard today. So if you guys are liking it, make sure you guys shoot me an email with any questions that you have, topics you think should be discussed. But more importantly, we're going to be doing a listener question and answer roundtable coming up. So if you guys want to get some questions answered about anything and everything, VW related, hobby related, what I'm doing, what George is doing, any of that kind of stuff, send me an email at bill@letstalkdubs.com. That's bill@letstalkdubs.com. So make sure you guys send me your listener questions and we'll get them all answered. Want to give a couple shout outs for some people that supported the podcast. James Sofer and John Tidd picking up sets of poker chips, the last 2 sets that I had. Don't worry, Chris, I didn't forget about you. I'll be sending you a message, Chris Spicer. So our electric VW guru over there at EV West. So I didn't forget about you, Chris. You'll be hearing from me soon. Also wanted to give, I had a couple people send some messages and some questions. Want to give a shout out to Michael Williams, sent me a message on Facebook to share this VW story with me. Cool guy out of Australia. So they're listening all over the world. So shout out to Michael Williams. And we got some listener email that I'll fire through right now. Johnny Heffler sent me a message, said, hey, I'm Johnny Heffler of the Heffler Cherry car, and I'd like to share some information about the NHRA modified eliminator class that VW guys should hear about. So reached out to him. If anybody knows him, let him know I'm trying to get in touch with him. I hit him up on, replied to his email, no response, and then also sent him a message. So if you're out there, and my boys in Texas, once you guys track him down, let them know I'd like to get him on the podcast. Also, I had Richard Dixon reach out to me, asked me if I picked up a Rusty's rack and pinion steering rack setup from podcast 284. I have not got one yet, but my plan is still to get one coming up soon. Just had George go through the whole double cab and do a bunch of tweaking. Went from the IDAs to IDFs, did a bunch of other stuff that was not finished for a long time on the double cab. So George went through and kind of tweaked it up for me. So shout out to George T also for that. And then Matt Rios sent me a message out of Tucson, Arizona. He's got vintagevolksworks.com and suggested a podcast. Me and him, he traveled the world in his VW bus. So probably be reaching out to him soon. But all you guys that messaged me through the podcast, shout out to you guys, and be looking to get some of you guys on that have reached out, and lots of people commenting on here. I'm going to go through and kind of clean these up and get through a bunch of listener emails and all that stuff. So also wanted to just thank everybody for being patient while I get next year's date hammered out for one crazy weekend. I promise you one more fantastic event. So just hammering out some final details before we get everything set in stone. But we'll be, let you guys that listen to the podcast will be the first to know, so you guys can book your rooms. Also giving a shout out to Justin Cossier. And so Justin is out of South Australia, and he's got a bit of VW story. Be interested in chatting with me about that. And he's got a few Volkswagens. But I want to give a shout out to Justin in South Australia. Justin Cossier, shout out to you. We'll be getting back in touch with you if I haven't reached out to you soon. It will be, you'll get a message from me soon enough. So let me see what else I got here. And then Alan Cipollari says, wanted to pick up a shirt, and huge fan of the podcast. Really wanted to make it out to one crazy weekend. He's in Maryland. Anyway, wanted to order a shirt and a sweatshirt. Do they run small, true to size? Trying to figure it out. Well, I need a large or an XL. Anyway, Alan, I think I responded to your podcast or to your message. So if I didn't, shoot me an email at Bill at Let's Talk Dubs. I'll get back to those a little bit faster. So, and I got Mike Resendez needs a green 2024 window sticker, which I found one at my shop. I just got to send it out to him. So, Mike, send me an email at Bill at Let's Talk Dubs, and send me your address, and I will mail that sticker out to you, because I got too many sources of people you're trying to get in touch with me, and I keep juggling back and forth everyone to see where it is. And Chad Mathis said, Bill, once again, you put on a hell of an event. Unable to complete my 60 Type 1 for a debut at your show, but I'll have it at next year's show for sure. Just not a debut. Love the fact that even without my car there, I was more than accepted and welcomed by each and every person. I'd not participated in 23 or 24 weekend other than walking the parking lot on Saturday, but this year, anticipation of my car being there, I pre-registered for the events. Best weekends if I had done anything, let alone car show. Being a Vegas resident for 30 years, I'm proud to have this as our show and look forward to it being a bigger part of next year going forward. So appreciate you for doing that, Chad, and getting out there and checking it out. Hopefully you guys had a great time. People asking for the dates for next year, getting a lot of those. And then a lot of people asking to be added to the mailing list for that. So lots of cool stuff. I got so much stuff on here. And again, guys, this is what I do this out of love for the hobby. So, I'm planning to make a day, clear some time, and go through all the emails that I've gotten probably over the last year or so. Any ones that I haven't mentioned or thought were good topics, I'll bring up. But if you guys have, George and I are going to do a roundtable over the Christmas break. We're going to do a roundtable answering listener questions. So any questions you guys have, I had one guy send me a message, wanted, matter of fact, I think it was Williams sent it to me, and he wanted to know about offsets and stuff like that. Michael Williams sent it to me and said, want to talk about offsets, positive, negative, factory, and the different ones and all that good stuff. So I'll go to some detail with that with respect to what I run on some of my cars, what the offsets are on the wheels, and what I have for the car's setup. So lots of cool stuff coming up, guys. Appreciate you guys all for listening and supporting Let's Talk Dubs. And also, send me an email, guys, if you think. I've been going through my phone. I got a ton of really rad pictures from all over the world that I've gone to. And I thought maybe I should make a Let's Talk Dubs listener exclusive calendar. And I know everybody does the calendars, but I had my girl at the office order me a calendar, and I was just like, this calendar she just got off of Google was kind of like plain and flat. And I've got some pretty rad pictures on my phone, and I could easily have 12 of them, but I was thinking of adding specific dates that significant things happened throughout the VW history that have pertained to this podcast, and they'll reference podcast episodes. So that may be something that we'll look to put together, and give me some feedback on that, guys. Bill at letstalkdubs.com. So until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen